Hold on.
Woohoo!
I think I want to do that randomly throughout the show. Just like, woo! As long as my dog doesn't start freaking out, you guys. We just rescued her. He rescued her a couple months ago, and she came from the shelter, and she's taking she's taking her adjustment period. We actually believe she may have been abused before we got her, and she's been returned a few times. So she's so sweet, though. Oh my gosh, you guys! One more time. Hold on.
Okay. Ready?
Look at this.
Happy 50th! Yay, you!
I feel like there was when my mom was getting ready to turn 40, I was gonna get her a Lordy look who's 40 cake, and I feel like I should have gotten like a nifty 50 type thing. But you guys,
Right.
episode 50, I drew it on my board, and I figured out the slogan for the show, you guys. So empowered women, empowering women like you guys.
Nice.
And Denise says, happy 50th. Oh, doesn't 50 look good on me? Oh my gosh. It's like, I hope we all look phenomenal at 50, you guys. I think we're all going to look great. So before we dive into this epic episode, and again, as we talked about before going here, Midge, I'm really excited that it's like you, man. I hope Thomas and Alex and them get to catch this at some point. I like tagged everybody that's been in. But before we dive into this, you guys, I just want to take a second to reflect on how insane this is. And what's really awesome about Midge being on here is she actually was part of the beginning of everything. I mean, literally, we knew each other 3 months, not even 3 months into the business, like actually being conceptualized. And when I met Midge, I was just getting started doing the podcast, which is now this show. So, oh my gosh, you guys, episode 50. So hold on. We're going to toast to this, you guys. Episode 50. Oh my God. Like my heart is just, yes. Cheers. Everybody I tagged who sees this, put hashtag replay. If you were on the show, just comment and say, hey, if you have something that you've loved of being on the show, please let me know. But before we dive into this, I want to talk a minute about how much this means to me to do episode 50. When I got started, I remember doing a Vivid Vision. I think you remember Alex talking about recording of the Vivid Vision. So in my Vivid Vision, it was like 3 years down the road or 2 years. And I was listening. We were on podcast episode 156. And all I knew was that whatever I was going to do, I was going to grow it. And I'm saying, oh my God, we're on episode 50. But I am really thankful for like this platform, for everybody that comes on here, that everybody that watches, all the women that have, I mean, good Lord, I've interviewed almost 70 women. Hi, Angela. And Angela has been here for every freaking episode. Oh my God.
Nice.
But I'm really appreciative because when I went and I tagged everyone, I was like, oh my God, like, look at this and look at all these women who know more women and everybody. And I'm like, this is, as Alex sort of told us, this is like the heartbeat of everything I think that we do. We do this because of this human connection. And I had someone tell me they were so amazed by the platform and being able to bring like people on here to share the stories. And I feel like I've talked more and more about why this show is so important and why I do it and why it's such a passion for me. It's because, because by y'all coming out, I say it every episode. It's like, because you guys come out and you show up and you come up to the table and you share your story, some other woman out there, and Midge, you are like the shining example of what happens when we take our story and we share it for the world, and we show up in that space. And when we do that, we give somebody else, whether that's ourselves or somebody else, their own permission to share and own their story. So I am super honored that you guys have allowed me to share this space with you. Everybody's like, thank you for letting me on your platform. But I mean, I couldn't have this platform if y'all did not come on and do this. Like, I'd be sitting here, you always would see me every Tuesday and Thursday. And I can only talk about myself so many times. But to everybody that's come on and everybody that will come on, like, thank you guys so much. I always have said this from the beginning, even if I didn't vocalize it, but one day this show is going to like be something, and I don't know what it's going to be. I'm scaling for Oprah style, like, impact.
Yay.
But just remember, you guys are going to be the foundation. I mean, I fully anticipate that with, you know, my rising, everybody kind of but everybody rises with me as much, you know. So cheers to 50 freaking episodes, you guys.
Woo-hoo.
And cheers to another 50 more. And one day, cheers to a second 0 behind it for episode 500, y'all. I don't know what that's going to be, but who knows. So without further ado, I'm going to take a sip of my wine. If y'all have wine, do partake, enjoy. Please comment, like, share. You guys, be like, come on here and get down with us. All right. So I'm going to take my wine. Oh, you guys, I'm not going to get crazy crunk in case anybody's like, oh my God, I'll have to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. No. But I got this. Look, this is the only label. It's the back label. I'm like, is there no label for the bottle? So
Yeah.
all right. All right. I'm going to drop into this epic intro, which I found myself practicing it today. Like I was like, I feel like I'm on a stage. Okay, so hello and welcome to the TUF Woman Table, y'all. Episode 50. Thank you. This is the table, as y'all know, where I invite some super badass tough women like Midge here to take a seat and share their amazing story. And y'all, Midge's is nothing short of absolutely amazing. So at TUF Woman, I believe that all women have the power within themselves to live life authentically, free from fear, confident in who they are, and empowered to go out and create a life that just sets their soul on fire. I share this belief by championing tough women who have walked through the fire, felt the fear, and faced adversity and kept pushing through it all. Because I truly believe that to show up in your story, to show up in life, you have to be, you know, persistent. You have to be able to come back. And I feel like with this show, especially, the emphasis is like, God, when life got you down, when life hit you in the face, like, what did you keep doing? You know, what did you keep doing to get to where you are now? So women, you know, I champion women who have now live the life they want as the woman they were created to be, which, it's so exciting. So women who own their stories. And every time I'm like saying this intro and I'm just like, I'm so happy you're on here. Like, I'm just women who own their stories so that other women can embrace and own theirs as well. Because as we all know, when you give yourself permission, you give someone else permission in the same breath. So, okay, I'm going to do this just one more time. Okay. All right. So I've got like 8 of these, you guys. So just without further ado, I would love to introduce my guests, my fellow Purpose Pioneer sisters. Shout out to Purpose Pioneers, Alex and Thomas, if you guys catch this. Thank you for introducing me to this wonderful soul. I'm so thankful, you guys. Just a background before I introduce Midge. Me and Midge met in our group coaching program with Purpose Pioneers. And so I have had the absolute privilege of knowing her as well as her knowing me from kind of the beginning of both our journeys into this world of coaching and impacting lives. And Midge's mission and story is so deeply embedded. Like when you talk about people walking their talk, man, like you are absolutely the embodiment of that. So I'm not going to dive any deeper because I just can't wait to hear it from your perspective. I think, you know, I know bits and pieces, but to be able to hear all this is going to be like a treasure too. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you guys to one of my fellow soul sisters, coming out and spiritual coach, Midge Noble.
Hey. So you know I love you. You know that I champion you. I believe in you 100%. And I just love watching you and love watching how you're just coming into your own. And it's brilliant. And I love it. Absolutely love it. I love the fact that we met with Purpose Pioneers. I love the fact that I went through that. If anybody else out there wants to step into their power and do coaching, that is the number one place you need to start. It's a wonderful way to unpack your own stuff, to look at your fears, to look at your doubts, and bust through it and get to the other side. So having said all that, we do love you, Alex and Thomas, and give a shout out to Jess, who also is a wonderful coach that helped me through a healing journey. So Jess Bubico is another name that you need to know, but for all of you folks out there. So so a little bit about me. I grew up in the South, in the Bible Belt, deep South, where, you know, diversity isn't really welcomed all the time. And I would go to church every Sunday because my grandfather was a minister, my uncle was a minister, and we would always go to church. And even though I didn't come from a truly religious family as far as mom and dad, they went because my grandfather was the minister. That's how it all kind of started. But you know, it was a culture of being fed something and you ate it and you didn't question it. But I knew in my core that I wasn't like anybody else that I saw around me. There was something about me that was different. And I would go to the altar every Sunday and I would be in tears and I didn't feel worthy. And I just knew that there was something inherently wrong with me. I wasn't like any friends at school. There was just something wrong with me. And I couldn't imagine my life past 30. I'm 60 now, by the way. If you're looking at how you're going to look when you're 50, girl, this is how you're going to look when you're 60.
Nothing wrong with that.
I know. I love it. If I'm above ground and still breathing, honey, I'm kicking ass somewhere. So here we go.
You are living a privilege not granted to everybody.
That's right. That's right. I have no problems with being 60. So, you know, I couldn't see past 30 though. And I just didn't know what was wrong and how I could fix it. And by the time I was probably 11 or 12, I was depressed. But, you know, we didn't go to counseling back then. We had this name of, you know, the pastor's names to uphold. So we had no problems. So I just had to keep shoving it down and shoving it down and shoving it down. I know that there were many times that suicide popped up for me. I contemplated it. I attempted some things. I just couldn't see my future. I put on that face to everybody else. It was always that great facade of, you know, happy and everything's going to be fine. But I didn't have it. I didn't have it in my core. Looking back now, I really wish that I had known that all of the fire that I was in was going to bring me to such a place of strength and confidence now. When you think about authenticity, you don't just go get it. You have to birth it almost. It has to come from pain. It has to come from all the junk that we go through all the time. So when I finally decided that I had to start to own my own impact, I struggled for years and years and years trying to do it. And I couldn't find the right avenue. Even through all of the college and everything, I was still not sure of who I was authentically. The reason that I didn't feel like I fit in is because I was trying to fit my life into the heterosexual world, and I clearly was not heterosexual. And there was no conversation about that growing up. The only thing that ever was said to us in youth group was that if you were gay, it was like having sex with animals. And I was like, I didn't know about myself at the point, but I knew I wasn't that. That's all I knew. So that probably hampered me for a lot more years. And I needed to find my own authentic self. And the way that I did that was that I just continued to not say no to the end of my life. That even when I felt like it was the worst day possible, I wasn't going to say, I'm giving up. But no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I just kept finding the next thing that made me feel like I was going on a path that was going to be helpful, you know, and I just could not stop. I wanted to stop many times, but I just couldn't. I was being pulled into a greater purpose. And so The interesting thing about not being able to see past my 30th year was because I believe I died when I was 30. And this is how this happened. When I turned 30, I was at this church because I'd finally, as an adult, gotten into therapy. And I was in therapy and trying to figure out if I was gay because I just could not. I could not even deal with it. And I said to the therapist when I got to her for the first time, I said, okay, I'm here to find out if I'm gay. Because I'd been living with this woman for like 7 years. We had met in graduate school. We were living together for 7 years, and we got confused many, many times. And then I felt guilty, and then I thought I was going to go to hell, and all this stuff. And I said, because if I am gay, I know I'm going to go to hell because that's what I've been taught. And if I'm going to go to hell, I might as well go now because I'm not waiting around for it. And I said, so you got to help me figure out if I'm gay. And she said, okay. And I said, but you can't commit me because I'm not suicidal right now because I don't know if I'm gay. And she's like, damn, I hate working with therapists. You know exactly what to say because I'd gone to school. I'd gotten my graduate degree. I became a therapist. I was working with kids as a school counselor, but I still couldn't figure out my own stuff. You know, how you can help other people, but you can't look at yourself in the mirror, right? So I was going to a church that she recommended, gay minister. And I said, well, how's that supposed to help? Of course, she's going to tell me I'm okay because she's gay. And she said, maybe just give it a try. Just give it a try. So I was going to this church and I was sitting in the back row and they started singing this song, It Is Well With My Soul. And I lost my shit. I could not stop. I mean, it was like that ugly cry where you're like gasping for air and it's like everywhere. And people are, I could just feel people like looking over like, do we need to call the police? You know, what's she going to do? It was a lot of tears. And I just knew at that moment, I just knew that I had to own it, that it was time, you know, and that was probably so at that moment, the fake me died and I stepped into my life. My authentic, this is who I am. This is how I'm going to grow. I didn't know what to do with it. I wasn't really sure how I was going to make it through that, but I knew that I had to start living my life. And once I did that, it's almost like this whole big window opened up and all the fresh air came in, you know, and I was able to take a look at not only all the things that I had ignored about who I was, but I was also able to look at all the possibilities of what I could become. And the hardest part, I think, of that whole thing was knowing that I had lost so much time. You know, 30 years of my life of not being me. And I think that was the biggest pain at that point. Now, you know, other things came up after that, like, you know, people like, you know, getting out of your life and not being able to handle your truth and, you know, all of that pain. But, it was still worth it. You know, it was still worth it to look back and know how strong I was. And it was worth it to know that, that's a journey that I now have in my soul. And I can look at other people and say, I've been there and I know how bad it hurts. I know how scared you are. It may not go as great as you think. People are going to walk out of your life. People are going to, you know, call you names. People are going to take away your rights. They're going to, you know, all the stuff that happens, but that's how I can now look at others and say, come here. I got you. I know that. And the whole part of empowerment is being able to look at the whole package. So, okay, now I'm authentic and I'm gay and I know it and I'm ready to do a pride march, you know, whatever, you know, I'm ready. But, you know, then you have to start unpacking all of the spiritual stuff. You know, you look at your family, you look at your religion, you look at your spirituality, and how do we put all that together when everyone's teaching you one thing and you're now on the opposite side of what they're saying is okay? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you know, that has been the journey of making sure that I'm respected, that I'm being seen, I'm being heard. You know, for me to be authentic, I need to be able to put my story out there. I need to be able to look at someone who hates the breath that I breathe just because I'm gay and not be freaked out by them. You know, that can't rattle me because I have my truth inside of me. And my empowerment comes by speaking my truth, even when other people don't want to hear it. and being able to reclaim things that were taken from me. So, I was going to church. At one point, I thought I was going to be a missionary. I went to India and built the church with a youth group as a mission trip, when I was 18. And all of those things I felt was taken from me when people kept telling me I'm an abomination, that I'm going to hell just for being who I am. And so I am now in the process of reclaiming all of that. And I mean, we're like Nashboro on fire now. We're coming out in a big old way here in Nashboro. So, we organized a meetup for our town. And so we have a special place where we're having a group every month. And we applied to be in the Christmas parade under our cultural diversity Asheboro LGBTQ tribe meetup. And we walked in our parade. We're going to do all sorts of things in the coming year to make our presence known in this very small town. And we're not done. We're just not done.
Oh my God. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Kelly says, yay, happy 50th episode with a great guest interview. And then she caught us on. Thank you for going on YouTube, Kelly. You guys, for anybody.
Oh, awesome.
We stream on YouTube Live as well while we're doing this. So,
yay.
Oh my gosh. And then Denise said that gave me chills. And, it really did, talking about being authentic and being empowered. And I agree. I think the true definition of empowerment is being, it's autonomy, it's sovereignty. It's being able to say that I'm okay with myself. I'm okay with you as you are. And you're allowed to live your life and I'm allowed to live my life. And that's okay. And that doesn't stop either of us from doing anything. That's why I love these platforms. It's like, you're allowed to do what you're doing and I can do what I'm doing and we can do that copacetically and it's all good. So, I want to touch base on something you talked about, how you had to go through this like complete death of who you were, right? And what I often found in my own life and then every woman that's come on here is at some point in time, we go through this shattering of who we thought we were. These hats that the world put on us and said, okay, you're going to wear this now and you're going to wear this now, right? And we get caught up in a lot of the jargon of being woke and everybody's like, oh, it's being aware. And and it's like, but it's what it really means to me is to be aware of all the things that you aren't anymore, right? So being aware of what is our actual truth versus the truth that we, like you said, we were fed and we didn't question as we were growing up. I grew up in multiple different types of religions. And at one point, and I don't want to make this about religion because I have nothing against religion. I'm baptized Southern Baptist. Fire and brimstone is my
I hear you.
So I think whatever brings you to that place of faith and hope, I think that's a beautiful thing. But at one point I was part of something where I was made to feel like I wasn't included in my family unit, that I was not a valuable member. And I understand that whole feeling, like to have to go somewhere and feel ostracized and almost like they're patting, oh, look, we'll acknowledge you because you're there kind of thing. But that is a rough thing, and it really puts a lot of perceived damage into your psyche, right? It puts you take a lot of internalization of that. And you walk through life with it. But I think it's when we hit that shattering, that wall, it's honestly what I look at it like, because I explain it as a shattering. It's like our own glass ceiling that we encased ourselves in, right? So we're smashing through it. So you get to this point, because this is the next part, you guys. When I met Midge, we're going to talk a little bit about purpose pioneers and why this episode is so incredibly pertinent and why I think even just to hear you talk and vocalize the way you are. When I met Midge, the idea, I think, of even going live on Facebook, totally like, it was like a big anxiety inducer, right? Like I was, and even at the time myself, I wasn't even hardly going live like I am now. And so to see you come on here and be like, yeah, we're here and we are coming, to give, and I say this because I love being able to showcase growth. I love being able to show people what this looks like, and I want you to really share the story. But when I met Midge, she was towards the end of it. You were getting ready to start this group, like oh my God, what's going to happen if people see
Yeah.
us, you know, and
Yeah.
here we are. And it's, I think when we choose to, like you said, we get to that space where like, listen, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'm just
Hmm.
going to keep walking. Right.
Hmm.
So how has, how has being able to walk in that faith shifted everything? Like going,
Oh.
yeah, like going from that, oh my gosh, I just died, which that gave, like Denise said, that gave me chills. Like that was,
Hmm.
I feel like I died. So when you went through this death and you were reborn, how was that? How did that shift everything with you?
It, it did. It did shift everything within me, because then I was able to chart the rest of my life. You know, it's like, okay, everybody had a piece of me before I was 30. How are you supposed to live? How are you supposed to worship? How are you supposed to answer questions? How are you supposed to show up? This is how you do it. It has to be this way. You can't have a crack. You can't. You know, you keep smiling, all that stuff. And when I became authentic, then I was like, well, hey, you know, I do have emotions. I do have feelings. I do have thoughts about things. I do have things to say. And instead of always asking others, like, well, what do you think about that? Or they'd say to me, how are you doing? I'm fine. Feelings inside not expressed. So, you know, and because I would never answer a question. It was always about somebody else. It was never about me coming out with an authentic statement. So everybody thought I was the nice girl, and I am. I'm very nice. But they always just thought I was the nice girl and that I was a good girl. And I am. I'm good. At sometimes being bad. Just saying. but it opened me up to a place to say, hey, I disagree with that. Or I'm going to speak my mind on Facebook and give my opinion and watch it blow up, but it's still my opinion. It's still where I'm coming from in my heart and in my soul. It also let me start taking responsibility for the choices I was making, whether it worked out the way I thought it would or not, that there had to be, it had to come from inside of me. I wasn't going to have other people make decisions for me anymore. I was in charge of me. And so if I wanted to be heard, then I needed to speak. If I wanted to be respected, I had to respect me. You know, everything that we want from others, we got to give it to ourselves first. And I had ignored me for 30 years. And so I started focusing on me while I was still being the person that I wanted to be to others. You know, I'm a giver, and you know, I'm a teacher. I'm a coach now. I was counselor for over 30 years. So, you know, it's all about giving for me, but I had to learn how to give to me first and
Mm,
make sure that my vessel was full so I could give to others. And reclaiming what I never would have been able to reclaim a deep spirituality if I hadn't lost the right to have one. So when someone says to you, God condemned you to hell because you're gay, that in essence took away my right to have a religion until I could figure out in myself who I am, what do I deserve, and why is the Bible being taught this way? You know, I've done a lot of exploration with, like you said, different religions and different people's concept of God, and why is that word in the Bible, and why are all those stories there, and why does it look like I'm going to hell? Because if I am, you know, that's a whole nother chapter. But you know, I'm really a cold weather girl, so we don't need to be going to hell. I like to be in the cold weather. So,
oh,
you
I don't
know,
have much heat, you guys. It's not
that's
this.
right.
That's
That's right.
that's
It's not good for the hair. So I've had to go and dig deep to find not just the answers that make me feel better, but I want the real answers. I want to know, you know, and the only thing that's missing in my life right now is I don't know Hebrew, but or Greek. However, when you I'm missing that. But if you go back to those original texts, it is not what I was spoon fed as a child. I am not going to hell. If you're listening, you're not going to hell for being gay. You know, we are able to reclaim our spirituality, our faith, whatever that means to you, however you worship, you know, the sun, the moon, the stars, the God above, whatever it is for you. For, you know, how many times did I say it in Purpose Pioneers? I can't even use the word God without cringing, because that was the word that condemned me to hell. And now I can say it. Now I'm going to a church that I really, really love, because they embrace the you. And it's not their job to say that I'm not okay, but that whole, nothing would have shifted had I not been able to just step into my authentic life and own me. And it's really good on the other side. It's really good on the other side. And when she did meet me, the whole reason that I was switching from counseling to coaching is because the practice I was at closed. I mean, I'm 60 years old, looking kind of toward retirement, and our office had to close because of a state law that was brought in that was going to make it impossible for us to stay open any longer. And so I had to find out, okay, what's next? What am I going to do? I'm not quite that old to retire. So what am I going to do? Am I going to go work at Walmart and be the best damn greeter they ever had? Because I'm very social. So what am I going to do? And I just wasn't done serving. I still felt like that I was being pulled into something bigger than just, taking a job. And so we started figuring out how to be a coach. And by we, I'm not having an alter ego here. My coach that I hired to help me, we started figuring out what was the next step. And that's how Empowering Awakened Hearts opened, because even that word, Empowering Awakened Hearts, for the business was, I want the hearts to awaken. I want people to find who they are. And I want to take them on that journey for whatever is shut down in them, whatever needs to be peeled away, and find the core of who you are and be empowered to hear your voice ring true for you and speak it to the world, whatever that means for you.
I feel like wherever Thomas is right now, he and Alex, they're like, what does Alex say? She's vomiting rainbows right now.
That's right. That's right. Tommy Lou, Midgie Roo's in the house.
Oh my God. No, like I said before, it's through that shattering that we're able to walk into our purpose. And what's funny is, right, we go through this stuff and we're like, God, I don't understand why I'm going through it. And then we get to that point and we're like, oh, Rashawn says, hello, ladies, congrats. She was on the show too. All these women have been on this show. Like,
that's awesome.
Y'all, this is amazing. But, I actually talked about the other night. There is the purpose in the pain, right? Purpose, back to the purpose part. There's purpose in the pain. Had you not gone through what you had gone through, you wouldn't be helping who you're helping now.
Right. And you have to go through the hurt to get to the healing. You can't go around it. It's almost like there's a big pool and you're trying to walk around all that water, but that's where you get rebirthed, is you go through the pain, you go through that lake, and you get to the other side. And if you don't walk that journey and you don't feel it on a really cellular level, then you're still avoiding parts of you that still need to be cleaned and redone, and remolded. So you go through the hurt to get to that emotional healing. And only then can you take that pain and transform it. You don't forget it. I can't forget the things that have been said to me or done to me, but I'm going to transform that pain, and then I claim the authentic power, because that's what's going to come out of that. Whenever I transform the pain, I will have my authentic power.
And you know what? I think that a lot of that's something that I've seen, and even something that I've had to peel away. We think that people get to a certain point and they're like, oh, they surely don't deal with this. A woman who was on the show does my breath work, Vanessa Charles, she was talking the other day about she got sick and she went to an energy healer, and the energy healer said, like, your new you, like the warrior, the woman you're being birthed into, is like ready to go. But the reason you're sick on an energetic level is because the old you is desperately like clinging, because that's that you that is scared to death, because like you said, it's that unknown. It's like, oh my God. And I woke up into this spot and I was like, okay, well, what do I, like, when you're called to do something, you're like, okay, well, what, like you said, what do I do with this now? Like, I got this here and I don't know what to do with it. But yeah, we cling, we have to deal through the shit. I spent so long, and so many women that I know, waiting for someone to give me permission for the things that I only had the power to make the choice in, right? And I love that you talk about giving away your power, because I think as women, especially, we
Mhm.
do that on
Mhm.
so many levels. We're just like,
Mhm.
we're waiting for someone. And I think, again, that comes back to the spoon fed thing too. We are spoon fed that we are surely not. I know, growing up, a lot of the message I got was that I would be nothing unless I was, I would never be at my highest potential without a husband.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
and so I think as women, we give our power away so much. And one of the true essence of empowerment is understanding that you have a choice in everything and everywhere that your power
Mhm.
goes to.
Mhm. That's right. That's right. And it doesn't mean that you have to be with anybody else, no matter who it is. That it has to, even in a relationship, I never want somebody to say that I complete them, because I don't complete anybody. I have to come as a complete person,
Mm,
even though I may not speak it.
come on.
Preach it.
Yeah.
But I have to come as a complete person, so that then we walk that journey together. And it doesn't mean that I'm fixed, or I'm, all done. As long as I'm breathing and above ground, I'm still here. So I'm not done. I will never be done, but I don't need to have you help make me be done. It's my journey, and then we may join each other. I mean, my wife and I have been together since 1983. Now, some of that was in my confusion years, but we've been together since 1983. So we've grown a bunch, because we didn't know everything back then, but we've grown a bunch, but we've grown side by side. And yes, there's help back and forth, but she does not complete me. She comes with me. We're on this journey together, and we figure things out sometimes together. And then sometimes, I'll help her, she'll help me, but it is a partnership. It is not a completion. I've never liked that term, but I understand it on a, woo-woo romantic level, but but that's not real. That's not real for me anyway. Um, but it's, that the power that we bring to our truth, no one can take that from you. No one.
Mm. Oh my gosh, shit, this color. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, this whole episode just makes me so happy.
I'm just so happy to be here on this special, special day.
I
I
know.
love it. I
Like,
love it.
no,
Kismet.
I feel like that's something that I feel like, this whole rising up thing
Mhm.
that we talk about, paradigm shifting to everything. I think what it boils down to is there's finally so many of us coming in and going, okay, what used to be the whole pushing people aside to get ahead type of thing no longer works.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we're walking into this age where I firmly believe we're getting back to the way that authentically we really are, which is that human connection, that need to
Mhm.
help
Mhm.
other people.
Yep.
And it is through the shattering of what we've what has been shown to be the norm, like what's acceptable. It is through that shedding and that shattering that we're able to walk into this space and be like, okay, well, what I'm here to do is really at the central part of just serving other people and stepping up. But it
Mhm.
is through serving myself first that I can serve
Mhm.
other people. What do they tell you when you get
Mhm.
on an airplane, right?
That's right.
What do they tell you when you get on a plane? Put your mask on first, because if
Yep.
you can't breathe, you can't help somebody else, right?
That's
So,
right.
and so shifting into how all this went, I would like you to talk a little bit about your journey into becoming a coming out coach and what that looked like, because that's the part of the journey I got to walk into, and to get to
Mhm.
watch you sit here and talk so just, not that there wasn't lack of passion, but just to hear your words penetrate everything, and
Mhm.
you're just like, this is what it is to
Mhm.
it. I don't even know if there's a way to express what it means, you guys. Like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, and Jennifer's amen, lady. So tell everybody what forayed you into doing the coaching you're doing now, because I think this is
Okay.
this is integral.
Well, I mean, the whole time that I worked as a school counselor. I worked with terminally ill children through hospice. I was at the mental health center. I was at the private practice, and I always worked with children and families. Um, and and it was not liberating because we were under the bound of not secrecy, but privacy, so that I wasn't able to be free to be me in that session. I wasn't supposed to talk about my personal life. I wasn't supposed to, but I'm not very good at that. So, so I probably overshared as a therapist. And it was really frustrating to me that being out as a gay therapist was not acceptable. I was a therapist. And then, so nobody really knew how to find me because that wasn't my job description. Okay. But then I did have some kids that would come into me and they were struggling with their sexuality, and they were suicidal, or they were really having a hard time, or they were planning to maybe run away. And I would come out to them and I would say, in my truth, I need you to know that this is not the end of your chapter, that this is how your life can be. There's going to be dips and valleys and pain, and you may have some problems once you come out. But if you wait until you're old enough to, not that some of them were coming out in school, but, I said, you get to find a future. There's going to be something after this because you're not done. And when they could look at me authentically being me in that moment, and that could have blown up my face. They could have gone and told their parent that I came out and I was gay, and I would have lost my job. But I could not do it because their life was on the line, and I had to do it. And I did it multiple times when I needed to do it. When my job ended after, 30 some years at different places, the population of people that I felt pulled and led to support is my community. And but it's funny, yes, I am a coming out coach, spirituality coach. Yes, you can find God even though you're gay. Yes, you can be gay with God, I promise. And she's not going to freak out. It's going to be fine. But, of the people that I've coached since, opening the business, they've not all been gay, but yet they're coming out of other things. And so it's all good. Empowerment's empowerment. I'm not just empowering the gay people. We're not going to take over. But wouldn't that would be beautiful. But everybody needs to be empowered. But I felt in my heart that if I could give people a safe place to do their journey and be supported by someone that absolutely knows how devastating this journey can be, then that's what I wanted to do. I've done, worked with the children. I've worked with the parents. I worked all, it's our turn. I want people to be able to love themselves, put themselves at their own table, basically, show up at your table. What do you want to have at your dinner? Who do you want to invite? Who do you want to have in your life? How do you want to do it? I want, and the other part of this is I just got so tired of every time I turned on Facebook, here's another transgender person who killed themselves. Here's another gay person that was beaten to death. I'm tired of us dying because we just keep feeling that shame. Homophobia, inner homophobia is a real thing because you have been told your whole life that you're less than, you're an abomination, you're going to hell, you don't deserve to be here. You hear that enough, and what do we develop? If you hear a thought over and over and over, it becomes your own belief system. Even if you're trying to reject it, you've internalized that because it was said to you by people you loved in your church, in your family. And we need to be able to get rid of those old core beliefs and transform those into love is what we need. And so I'm tired of watching people I love die. And I'm tired of watching people feel like they don't deserve any better than to sit back and pretend. And I'm tired of families being broken up because they feel like they got to go get married to pass or to have children, when they then have to leave those marriages later because they know that they have to live their truth later. Why can't we live our truth now? Why can't we be open and be ourselves and find our authentic power before we drag everybody else into it? And I'm not judging people who do that. What I'm doing is saying, isn't it a shame that we have to go to that extreme to try to feel okay? And we don't have to do that anymore.
Well, I think we live in a culture that it's easier to judge someone on how we think they should be living their life versus taking a look at how we want to actually live our life. I always say we have a lot of people who are quick to judge the landscape of your yard when their yard's over there dying.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's easier to look at somebody else and
Yep.
go, oh, no, no, no. And what's truly sad and what kills me, and it's not bugging on no one, is that we have become a society where it is so easy to condemn someone under the facade of issuing a truth.
Yes.
It is so easy to condemn someone under the facade of it being a truth, right? I've had so many well-to-do people say, "Well, I'm not condemning them. I'm just speaking the truth." The truth under whose perception? The truth under whose perception, right?
Right.
And I get it. I know I was taught the same stuff. I'm sure maybe in a different context, but I think at the core the message is always the same. Um, but a thing that I learned a long time ago and that was transformative, and I think the reason that I love watching your story is you are so empowered in this value, and that is the true essence of compassion. And I actually talked about it when we were first pioneers, like maybe, but it was like Osho, and he's like my monk. He's like he's not Buddhist, like he is, but he isn't, like he's the But and he talked about how compassion was acknowledging that everybody was on their own journey, and whatever that journey looked like, that was okay. All that mattered was what were we doing on our own journey, how were we showing up in our world, right? And we needed to be able to come to a space. And I remember the discussion was like, I'm saddened by people who are not more awakened, not more aware. And the guy that's talking to me is telling, he's like, don't be sad for them. Like, you're wasting your energy. That's okay. Everybody is where they're meant to be, and that's okay. And I think we as a society have gone so far from that. We have gotten so far that if it is a sad thing when we are more hyped up about death and inhumanity and lack of integrity and unethical practices than the messages of truth and love, and and even going back to the biblical sense, what's the core tenet is like, be a mission unto the world for me and love people as Jesus loved you, right? Even if maybe Jesus is not the way you see things, the core message is take care of other people and love each other. That's it.
That's it. And it doesn't matter where you worship or how you worship, you come with love, and you got to love yourself first, and then you're free to love other people. And it really is that simple, and so awfully hard, but it is simple.
Well, it's because if you can love yourself, if you can look at yourself through everything you've gone through, like I had a kid at 16, I dropped out, I got my GED. There are so many things that told me that I was going to be a statistic and I wasn't worthy of doing the stuff that I'm doing because I chose to lay down and have a baby out of wedlock, But when we can choose to love ourselves and love all of that, that's the only way I believe that we're able to show unconditional love. When we talk about our cup overflowing, it is because we are so full already that everything else is just adding to it. And because we can choose to love ourselves without expectation of anything, any kind of perceived perfection, we can love other people as well. I always say that when I do something for somebody, I do it without expectation of a return. If I do something for you because I do it out of love, because I just simply want to serve at the core. And I think that you have a beautiful way of doing that for everybody. I know, like, you've held space for me, and I think the most beautiful thing that I love about your story is how you choose to show up, even in, like, really in the face of adversity. Like, look at your journey in the face of adversity, you still choose to show up. And I think that has to be one of the most courageous things anybody can do, is even when things look like you literally are in hell, you
Mm-hmm.
choose to show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the journey that I've been on, I can't it's all of it. You know, it's not fitting in with the family, it's losing people in my family, it's, you know, because I wasn't, you know, I was gay and I wasn't what they expected. Um, you know, everything, every piece of where I've been has been kind of loss oriented. I've lost this piece, I've lost that piece. But then when I come to the other side, it's like now I start to claim it back the way I want it to be. So, okay, you don't want to have a relationship with me because I'm gay, but oh, guess what? I'm going to bring you into my inner circle because you are a support system for me. So, yes, I still have family members hanging out around me and I love them and I care about them. Do we see eye to eye? Not always. No, we do not. but I don't need their approval. And that's probably the biggest gift that came out of this whole thing is I don't need you to approve of me for me to know I'm okay and that I'm worthy. And that has been probably the biggest lesson out of this whole thing is that once I claimed my worthiness, nobody else's opinion matters at this point. And it's not that I don't take some dings. I mean, if I'm tired or if I'm not feeling so good and somebody, you know, gets on Facebook and they do something, it's like that kind of shock. It's like, oh God, you know, I remember that feeling. And then it's like, whoa, you don't got me now. You don't have that power over me now. And so that ability to know that no matter who says what or what law gets passed or how this goes down, you may affect my life, but you can't stop my life because I've already claimed it. And you can't have it.
I don't know what to say. The most powerful thing in the world, the ability. My hope is that more people will come to that ability to go, listen, no matter what happens in this world, I'm still who I am and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be, and that's okay, you know?
Yep.
I tell people all the time, like, listen, like, you're okay, I'm okay, it's all good, you know? We are who we're meant to be. And I think when we can get to that space of acknowledging that, especially as a society, as humanity, I feel like this is how we change the world. When you show up in your truth and you go, listen, safe space, you can show up in your truth. And then they go to another person, you could show up in your truth. And then they go to another, you can show up in your truth. And so on and so forth. And we redirect the way things have always been, because I think the way things have always been is like, listen, you can only show up if you fit into this box. If you fit into this box, that's cool. Then you can hang out with us. But if you don't, we'll hide the other stuff, but just keep the stuff that goes in this box. So now we have this ability to come up in this space. And it's just mind blowing to see all the people who are coming into this space going, listen, I went through all this. And because I went through all this, I want to give you the space to go through it as well, but not go through it alone.
And that doesn't mean that you're going to, you know, that once you get to this place that you're done. Remember, we're never done. And so do I still have questions? Absolutely. Do I still have doubts from time to time? Absolutely. Do I still wish that the Bible was a little bit more clear the way it was translated? Absolutely. You know, absolutely. So yes, the questions don't stop. And that's, I was talking to the Father Joe the other day, who is the priest at the place where I've been hanging out for a while. And he says, well, Midge, he said, you know, the questions can't stop. You know, you have to continue to have questions because there's no growth when there aren't questions. If you're not challenging something, he said, if you're doubting any part of this, then that's only because you're ready for more growth. And so, you know, I love that answer because we all have that pressure to have it all together all the time and have that perfect facade. So we had it. We shouldn't have ever had it. We think that we've got it now. We don't have it. We can't be perfect. And so even though I'm stronger, I'm empowered, I'm worthy, I've got this, I'm leaning back in, I'm reclaiming my spirituality. I know how to help people, but I'm not perfect. And I still have moments of confusion and doubt and despair. But I've been through that journey too. So I know that when I'm in that moment, that moment won't last either. And that's it's shaping me for the next part of my journey where I'm going to be even stronger than I was the day before.
Oh my gosh. I always say this show's for like the one woman. And I always feel like I'm the one woman. I feel like I'm the one woman. I get to say this, but Sean said lots of emojis.
Yay! Thank you, Risha.
Can you believe that we're 5 minutes till the end of the show?
Oh, how sad. I
Oh,
love hanging with you.
I know. Oh my God, this has been great. And this has been awesome, man. I'm like, I can't even tell you how like perfect of episode 50 I think that this has been. Like, really,
Yay. Yay.
I am always blessed that you guys again come on here and you share your truth, because I think, like you said, it's not easy to do that. It is not an easy thing to do especially when you're being told that your truth is dirty or less than or unworthy.
Yes.
And the reality is, like you said, nobody has that ability to tell you that unless you give them that power. Nobody has the ability to determine what your journey is or isn't unless you give them that capability. And being able to show up in this space where you're like, listen, this is my truth, and whether you get it or not, whether you agree or not, that's okay. It's still my truth, and I'm going to share it. And I think we really do need more people like you, myself, all the women that have been here that go, listen, my truth is my truth. I can have it. You can have your truth, and we can coexist together peacefully. And, and I think that that's the way we need, because the more people that show up in their truth, and start questioning the things, that's how we're going to create the dialogue and the progress. And that's how we're going to move things forward. I don't think that really we have any other choice but to do that, guys. So, all right. Tell everybody this. Okay. No, I'm getting ahead. So looking back on your journey and everything you've gone through, if you could choose 3 pieces, 3 tips, 3 pieces of advice for someone coming up, what would those be?
The first advice I would give them is to breathe. Just take a breath. I want them to know that their chapter's not done. The last chapter's not been written. And so when you make yourself the priority, then you get to find the next place that you're supposed to be. So you breathe through the pain, you get through that hurt to get to the healing, and you find somebody that can help you. We are not an island. And so the advice that is most important is find the people that can help you get to the next step, because we can't do it by ourselves. That's why we have Ashley. That's why we have each other. You can't do it by yourself. I couldn't do it by myself. There were tons of people in my life that, were a safety net for me. And so I didn't know it at the time always who they were, but, I know now who was in my life and how that all evolved. So you got to take a breath, slow down, surround you with people that can get you to the next step. And remember, this is not your final chapter. You are not done yet.
Till the day you leave this earth, you are not done. And even then, when you leave the earth, you're not done.
We don't know. unless you've left and you've come back. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. So just keep believing in yourself and surround yourself with people who will help you. And then you're going to get it. We're all going to get it.
Isn't that the beautiful thing? We're all going to get it.
We're all going to get it.
We're all going to get it.
Yep.
That should be like your quote. Whatever it is, we're all going to get it.
We're all going to get it.
I know what that looks like to you. All right. So this is the end. I want you to tell people where they can find you, what it is that you're doing now. And then I'm going to pop 2 more of these things. And we're going to episode 50 anyways.
Okay, so if you want to find me, I'm on my website is empoweringawakenedhearts.com. That's the first place to find me. You can also find me on Facebook, Midge Noble. I keep it simple so I don't forget it. I am who I am, just Midge Noble on Facebook. And those are the 2 places I hang out the most. I do have an Instagram thing, but I'm 60. So, we really didn't get into that so much. So there's some pictures there. Go ahead and find me. I think it's midge.noble or something on Instagram. But hit me up on Facebook. go to my website. If you want to have a conversation, you can schedule through there and we can have a complimentary talk and get to know each other.
Beautiful.
There
Beautiful, you guys. So,
woo!
episode 50, you guys. Oh my God, I love it. Like, I feel like this could be a fantastic band, you know, pop.
That's right. And that's what authenticity looks like.
Oh my gosh, you guys. All right. So we wow. Episode 50, like they always pass by so quickly. And you talk about finding your truth and not knowing how the journey's gonna go. You know, when I started this, I said, all right, I'll give it a try for like a month or two. See how it goes.
Good for you.
And here we are on episode 50, right?
Yeah.
And I have no idea what that would become what it is. And I still have no idea what I'm gonna do with this. Like some days I ask myself, like, what am I doing with this? But I think the secret comes down to, like you said, just showing up, continuing to show up, not questioning the how of these things, but just going, okay, well, that suits my truth. That's my truth. So I'm going to keep walking in whatever that looks like. And I'm just going to keep following the breadcrumbs, follow the next step. What's the next piece, you know, constantly. And I think being able to be empowered in ourselves allows us to focus on that. I think that really, honestly, when it comes down to it, what I love about being empowered is I'm solely focused on what is my next step. It's not got anything to do with anyone next to me, but what's my next step? What's the next part of my mission? What am I here to do?
But every time you take that next step, you impact somebody's life. And so we may not know what this show is for, what it's about, but it's impacting lives and it's making people's lives better. And that's the purpose.
Purpose, the vehicle for all.
That's right.
Purpose, the vehicle for all. I'm going to get a shirt that says that. All right. Purpose, the vehicle for all. So thank you guys so much for showing up, for being here, for everybody that came on. If you catch us on the replay, #replay, let me know what you got from this. This show was just phenomenal. I am just so honored again to share space with everybody here, for you guys to walk side by side with you. I firmly feel that at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is being able to walk side by side and give that space to each other, that ability to say, listen, you are worthy of being here and we can be here together and we can keep walking together. So it makes me so happy. Thank you so much, Midge, for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Guys. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for literally making a huge dream of mine come true every Tuesday and Thursday evening. Like, yay for this. And as you guys know, episode 51. All right, we're gonna start this countdown all over again. Countdown to episode 100. And will be Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as you guys know, always right here on Facebook and YouTube, and hopefully very soon LinkedIn. And then we're just gonna blow this thing out of the water. Okay, you guys, I just don't know what is gonna become of this. What am I doing with this? But it's okay, because one day it's gonna make absolute sense. All right, so thank you. Angela said thank you both. Oh, thank you,
Thank you, Angela.
Like, oh my gosh, I can't even explain how amazing it is to have people who like follow us. It's crazy to think, like, I have people who follow my show.
Yay.
All right, so thank you guys so much. I will see you guys this Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always with these broadcasts, please click get reminder so that you never miss another amazing episode, because I just feel like every episode is amazing and it keeps building. And the more women that come on and share their stories, the more people we're going to impact in the process. So you guys, let's keep empowering and impacting as we go along. All right. So much love, you guys. See you guys Thursday.